Yes. Okay. So I shall continue now with the next topic that we need to know, that is flow stress. The stress strain curve of most materials, look like this. Most ductile materials, the stress strain curve will look something like this, right? This region is called as the elastic region, and here this one is called as the plastic region, and this point is called as the yield strength. Right? Now, for metal forming process, we need to deform the material in the plastic region. For metal forming process, we need to deform the material in plastic region. For deforming the material in plastic region, how much stress should be applied? For deforming the material in plastic region, how much stress should be applied? Please, anyone tell me. For deforming the material in plastic region, how much stress should be applied? Is it the yield strength? Of the material? Right? More than yield strength of the material. So most of you will agree that we have to apply a load more than yield strength of the material. So for example, if I am talking about a sample which is having the yield strength of 250 exact units, let's suppose whatever. If I want to deform a material, I'll have to apply greater than the yield strength, right? But the thing is, guys, we studied something about strain hardening. What was strain hardening? That is, whenever the material is plastically deformed, the strength of the material increases. It means even the yield strength of the material will be increasing, right? So let's suppose you have deformed a material. You have taken a material A. Now you have deformed the material into A dash. For this, you applied load more than yield strength. Now you are changing A dash into A double dash. This A dash is having yield strength more than A. A dash will have yield strength more than A, right? This is cold working. The A dash will have yield strength more than A. Therefore, to further deform A dash into A double dash, we'll have to apply even higher load. Right? We'll have to apply even higher load than the yield strength of A. Load more than yield strength of A. Here we'll have to apply load more than yield strength of A dash. So what is happening is, as the material is undergoing deformation, continuously its yield strength is increasing, and hence to keep carrying on the deformation, we have to apply even higher and higher stress. So the stress at which the material is undergoing deformation, the higher values of the yield strength at which the material is undergoing deformation is called as the flow stress. Okay, as the material is undergoing deformation, what is happening is its yield strength is increasing continuously. So hence, to continue the deformation of the material, you will have to keep increasing the load. Okay, so the instantaneous stresses that you are applying to plastically deform the material, to keep the material flowing, is called as the flow stress. Did you understand this? Did you understand this point? Please draw this diagram. That was not needed, Saurav. I'll have better explanation than that. You'll write all that. Okay? That was just a random example. Please draw this diagram. Don't write this portion as of now. Okay. So write down the typical stress strain curve. The typical stress strain curve of most metals. Is divided into is divided into an elastic and a plastic region, an elastic and a plastic region, an elastic and the plastic region. In plastic region, the metal's behavior is expressed by the following curve. In plastic region, the metal's behavior is expressed by the flow curve equation. In plastic region, the metal's behavior is expressed by the flow curve equation. This is the flow curve equation. Okay. Here sigma T is the true stress, epsilon T is the true strain. K is called as strength coefficient in megapascal. N is strain hardening coefficient. It lies between 0 to 1. Okay. So the stress strain curve for most of the metals can be classified into elastic region and plastic region. In plastic region, the metal's behavior is explained by the flow curve equation, that is true stress is equal to K epsilon T to the power N. Epsilon T is the true stress, sigma T is the true stress, epsilon T is the true strain. Further write down, for most metals, the strength increases, as it undergoes deformation. For most metals, the strength increases as it undergoes deformation due to strain hardening. For most metals, the strength increases as it undergoes deformation due to strain hardening. The stress required to continue deformation must be increased to match this increase in strength. Flow stress is defined as the instantaneous value of stress required to continue deforming the material, that is to keep the metal flowing. Flow stress is defined as the instantaneous value of stress required to continue deforming the material, that is to keep the metal flowing. That is flow stress is yield strength. Of a metal. As a function of strain. That is, flow stress is yield strength of a metal as a function of strain. Okay, so whoever came late, I'll explain everything again just once. See, what I am saying is the stress strain curve of a metal can be classified into elastic region and the plastic region. Okay, in metal forming we are concerned about the plastic region. In plastic region, how the metal behaves? The metal behaves by according to this equation. Here we can see that the stress is increasing with the strain. The stress is increasing with the strain. Okay. So this is called as the flow curve equation. Here sigma T is the true stress, epsilon T is the true strain. You can see that the stress is continuously increasing with the increase of the strain. Why it is increasing? It is increasing because of strain hardening. That is, to continue deforming the material, you will have to keep increasing the stress. Because the strength of the material is continuously increasing. Okay. So the load that you are applying now, is called as flow stress. At every instant, the stress is increasing. At every instant, the strength is increasing, and to match this strength, you will have to apply higher stress. Okay, so at every instant you are applying higher stress. That higher stress is nothing but the flow stress. Okay, understood till here? Now, in the definition, I have mentioned flow stress is defined as instantaneous value of the stress. Flow stress is defined as instantaneous value of the stress. Okay, how many of you understand what is true stress? Was true stress covered in strength of material? Was true stress covered in strength of material? Yeah, true stress was covered in strength of material. Even that little bit is only needed. Sorry. Okay, that little bit is only needed. So true stress is the instantaneous stress, right? Let's say this is a sample. Its initial length is L0. Initial length is L0. Initial cross section area. This area is A0. On this sample, we have applied load now. We are applying load. We are applying load on this material. So because of this, let's say the length of the material is increasing now. The length of the material is increasing now. Okay, it has become L. Since the length has increased, the volume will remain conserved, right? We are not removing any volume of material, right? Since the length has increased, the area will reduce. So let's say the new area is A. Then there is something called as engineering stress. Engineering stress is nothing but the load applied upon initial area. It is P by A naught. Okay. True stress on the other hand is load applied upon the instantaneous area. It is the load applied upon the instantaneous area. For example, at this instant, I am measuring how much stress is there on the material. Okay, there was a material on which load P was applied. Now load P is applied, because of that it has undergone deformation. Now if I am measuring the stress, there can be two stresses. One is engineering stress. In that I will take the initial area. One is true stress. In true stress, we take the instantaneous area, whatever the area was at that instant. So at this instant the area is A. So it becomes P by A. This is the true stress. Okay. So in a way you can say true stress is the instantaneous stress. Okay. So flow stress is also instantaneous stress. True stress is also instantaneous stress. It means the flow stress is same as the true stress in the plastic region. In the plastic region, the flow stress is same as the true stress. Okay? The flow stress is same as the true stress. That is, if you want to keep continuing the deformation, you will have to keep applying the flow stress. So, simply, in the flow curve, we can replace the true stress by flow stress. We can replace the true stress by flow stress. It is K epsilon T to the power N. As simple as that. Saurabh, in the definition of flow stress, we have written flow stress is defined as the instantaneous value of stress. Even true stress is the instantaneous value of the stress. Right? So flow stress is nothing but the true stress. In plastic region, the flow stress is same as the true stress. That is what I am saying. So, if they have given you the flow curve equation, what is flow curve equation? Flow curve equation will be of the form sigma T is equal to K epsilon T to the power N. And they are asking you, what is the flow stress? What is the flow stress? You will have to simply put these values. Whatever stress you get, that is nothing but the flow stress. That is, whatever true stress you are getting, that is the flow stress. Okay. Now what happens is, let's take let's again take the example of rolling operation. Let's again take the example of rolling operation. The entire material is undergoing deformation in this region. The material is undergoing deformation in this region. Okay. So what might be happening? At this point, one flow stress will be acting. At this point, one flow stress will be acting. At this point, one flow stress will be acting. This point, one flow stress, one flow stress, one flow stress. So, because the flow stress is instantaneous stress, at every instant, at every point, one different flow stress will be acting, right? So it will become difficult for us to analyze. In such case, we take average flow stress. Okay. So average flow stress, sigma f bar. Sigma f bar is the average flow stress. It is K epsilon T to the power n upon n plus 1. K epsilon T to the power n upon n plus 1. Average flow stress value is K epsilon T to the power n upon n plus 1. In most of the metal forming process, we are going to use the average flow stress. Okay. Saurabh, what I am saying is, at every instant, one separate flow stress will be acting, right? Because flow stress is an instantaneous stress, right? So analysis of this process will become difficult. So what we'll take is, we'll take an average of all the instantaneous flow stresses that are acting. We'll take an average of all the instantaneous flow stress that are acting in this region. Okay, that will be called as the average flow stress. The expression for average flow stress is K epsilon T to the power n upon n plus 1. Is it empirical? No, sort of. Like this you can get by integrating it over the range of deformation. Like over this range of deformation, if you integrate it, you can get this expression. It is derivable. I'm not very good in differentiation and integration, that's why I'm not showing it. Okay. If you integrate it over this region, you can get the average flow stress. Flow curve equation. Yeah, flow curve equation might be empirical. I'm not sure if it is derivable or is it empirical. About the flow curve equation, I don't know, but it is not required in BTech level. Okay. Maybe in MTech level you will get to see. In metal forming process, we are going to see lot of expressions which are not going to have any derivation. And most of my friends who have done MTech in design, they have told me that in design they study those derivations. Okay. So if you want to study, like if you want to do MTech in design, most probably you will be getting to learn lot of derivations of the metal forming chapters. Okay. But in BTech level, in GATE level, these are not needed. Now few points to consider. Okay. Note points, these are. So here, the stress is continuously increasing because of strain hardening. That point is clear. The stress is continuously increasing because of strain hardening. So, let's say there is a material. If a material does not undergo strain hardening. If a material does not undergo strain hardening, what will be the flow stress for that? If a material does not undergo strain hardening, what will be the flow stress for that? This curve itself will not be needed only. If a material does not undergo strain hardening, simply its flow stress will become equal to the yield strength. In its yield strength itself, the material will undergo deformation, and since no strain hardening is taking place, its strength will always be equal to the yield strength. In that case, sigma f will become equal to sigma y, right? If a material does not undergo strain hardening, sigma f is equal to sigma y. Second point is at ultimate tensile strength. The value of epsilon t is equal to small n. At ultimate tensile strength, the value of true strain is equal to the strain hardening coefficient. The value of true strain is equal to strain hardening coefficient. when I give this equation, please check what I have given the name for n. What I have given the name for n. Is it strain hardening exponent or strain hardening coefficient? If I have by mistake written strain hardening coefficient, please make it strain hardening exponent. The name of n is strain hardening exponent. Okay? Write down a 2005 question. Write down a 2005 question. GATE 2005. GATE 2005 question. The true stress, true strain curve. The true stress, true strain curve is given by, the true stress, true strain curve is given by 400 epsilon to the power 0.33. The true stress, true strain curve is given by epsilon equal to 1400, sigma equal to 1400 epsilon to the power 0.33. Okay. Where sigma is in megapascal, they are asking the true stress in megapascal, at maximum load, they are asking what should be the true stress in megapascal at maximum load. Please tell me the answer. Okay, the true stress, true strain curve is given by sigma is equal to 1400 epsilon to the power 0.33, where sigma is in megapascal. The true stress in megapascal at maximum load is how much? Please be sure about your answer. Okay, please be sure about your answers. Confidence is the much needed thing in competitive exams. Okay. So they are saying what is the true stress in megapascal at maximum load. Maximum load happens at which load? Maximum load takes place at the ultimate tensile strength. Maximum load happens at the ultimate tensile strength. So they are asking to calculate the true stress at the ultimate tensile strength. So simply we have to put the value of epsilon. But we don't know the value of epsilon. What we know is at ultimate tensile strength, epsilon is equal to n. At ultimate tensile strength, epsilon is equal to n. So sigma becomes equal to, maximum load implies ultimate tensile strength, which implies sigma is equal to n, which implies, epsilon is equal to n, which implies epsilon is equal to 0.33. So sigma is equal to 1400 into 0.33 to the power 0.33. So this will give you 971 as the answer. This will give you 971 as the answer. 1400 into 0.33, 971.04. 971.04. Okay guys, so got how to solve this? So with this, now you are ready to study the metal forming process. Exactly similar question was repeated. in 2018. Okay. Since last 4-5 years, the GATE has started asking question from the true stress and true strain portion. Okay.